Hey, let's bring in Laura Ingraham. Laura, how are you?
Oh, first of all, I'm so jealous that you guys have bowling there. When I was a kid, we used to do duck pin bowling in Glastonbury, Connecticut, and those are like the best memories from high school. Like going with your friends, duck pin bowling, playing Pong on the video games. It was cool.
What's duck pin bowling? Never heard of that.
It's smaller balls, and I used to play softball, so I could just like throw them right. You don't have to roll them; you could just throw them at the pins. Yeah. It's like candle pin bowling, duck pin bowling. Bowling brings people together. I think it's great that you guys are promoting it.
Right. It is, and it's on our plaza, and our faces are on the ball, so we really can't resist.
Awesome.
All right.
All right, let's get started. Laura, we have a Fox News alert. A federal judge is ordering the State Department to hand over all of the emails from Uma Abedin, and they want these emails before the election. And we just got an exclusive look at some of these emails.
Here's one of those messages, Laura. We'll get you to react to it. Citizens United has this. Abedin wrote to her staff, "Those of us in the Russia traveling party will be leaving Blackberries on the plane once we touch down in Moscow tonight." And one of her aides responds saying, "Are they taking them from you because your ClintonEmail.com should work?" And then Abedin admits it's for security reasons. "I don't want to use that one either. They're in Russia. They're talking about emails and securities and Blackberries." What does this tell you?
Well, it tells you, contrary to what they were all trying to tell us, last year, they understood there were security implications with the way that they were using email. And it also, once again, demonstrates the interconnectedness between the foundation and official government business. This was an official government trip, yet the, Clinton Foundation ties and emails are all over it. And obviously in 2009, that was during the whole attempt to reset our relations with Russia. I'm not sure that was that exact trip, but that was the new effort to really start at ground zero with the Russians and begin anew a relationship with that country. And we've talked about what followed with this uranium deal, with Russian interests being able to buy I think a third of one of our biggest uranium interests in the United States after donations going to the Clinton Foundation. So again, and going back to the court order that, thank goodness, groups like Judicial Watch and Citizens United are litigating on the behalf of the American public. Think about it. The Clintons, when they're in government, they will not admit to the truth unless they have something like DNA evidence with the blue dress or a court order. You need a court order to get them to be transparent. That's what people watching or thinking about this election have to understand. When Hillary is unchecked by a court, if she gets to appoint all the judges, the Supreme Court, she will be unchecked. No one will hold her accountable. That's where we're going to be if Hillary Clinton is president. Or
also you have all these emails that were not turned over. The FBI actually had to dig them up themselves. Then you find out they used bleach bit to wipe out all the other emails when she pretends as if she doesn't even know what the term wipe a computer means, when she knows exactly what's going on. And if this is a long job interview, how's that interview going? No press conferences, no public events, rarely a strong speech. There's no policies. There's no mission statement, but a lot of fundraisers out in the Hamptons. How does that resonate with the average person?
I think when you're seeing these polls tighten, especially in the swing states, Brian, I think more people are starting to focus on this election, frankly. I think we all focus on it, but now more Americans are focusing on it. And the bottom line in all of this is that Hillary Clinton will try to wait this out, run out the clock until Election Day. And all she has right now is her big donors' money to run a lot of negative ads, and she has personal insults and attacks on Trump. So Trump's temperament, Trump's crazy, all the things she's going to say, and the ads. That's all she has. She will not discuss her record. She will not discuss what's happened to the Middle East in the wake of her time as Secretary of State. She won't talk about the rise of China. She will not talk about this stagnating economy under Obama. She will not discuss this because it's going to be more of the same in the status quo. It's going to be Trump's, tax on Trump and the big donors funding all the ads. That's the campaign. And so for all their comments, well, Trump's not substantive. Trump's giving a major speech on immigration tomorrow. He's given major trade addresses. He's released his economic plan. And Hillary Clinton is literally hiding behind her big donors in Santa Monica and Palo Alto and all over the country.
Well, she's certainly trying to make the case a referendum, the entire campaign a referendum on Donald Trump. Speaking of Donald Trump, you mentioned a major immigration speech he's going to give tomorrow night. There's been a lot of speculation about whether he'd back down on some of the deportation approaches he has. Will it be a physical wall or a technical wall? What are the types of softenings that you think would hurt him? Because a lot of his supporters love him because of his immigration stance. How soft would be too soft, and do you think he'll soften at all?
Yeah, I think the way people are framing this is not quite right. I think in the end, the way most people are going to look at this is, if you're okay with the way the borders have been over the last 8 years, very porous, with all these people streaming across the border and just allowed to stay here, if you think that's okay, you need to vote for Hillary. If you think we have to start enforcing the laws, we definitely need real border enforcement, including a wall. Part of it will obviously have to be, drone and technology, but you have to have a meaningful enforcement policy, or I think he's right, we don't really have a country. So it's either enforce law or leave it the way it is.
So the rest is details, or are there certain aspects of it, Laura, hey, we're going to give a path to legalization, or hey, we don't really need a fence here?
Look, I wouldn't do any of that stuff. I mean, if that's the way they're going, well, that's the way the campaign is thinking about that. That's not how I approach it. I wouldn't have rolled this out the way they're rolling it out. I don't know what they're doing on that. But I think, again, for regular people, seeing how their communities are affected by mass migration of illegal immigrants, I think the choice is stark. I don't think his supporters are going to say, oh, Donald Trump's not going to do immigration enforcement, so we're going to vote for Hillary. That wouldn't make any sense. But I think we'll have to see what he says tomorrow. And, again, enforcement versus non-enforcement, I think that's the dynamic.
And then Saturday, the big speech at the Detroit church, I think is going to be great. The word is he's going to be taking questions there, too.
They're worried, guys. They are worried because, that Pew poll shows Trump, I think, at 16, 17% among African Americans. He's already up over where Romney was. They are freaking out over in Brooklyn, where the Clinton campaign headquarters is, because they're seeing it's making some inroads. That's all they have, scare tactics with the minority community and the black community. And if they lose those scare tactics, they're in big trouble in this race.
And he's doing better in the swing states, too. All right, Laura, great to see you this morning. Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, the Trump campaign also put out a tape of Jesse Jackson praising Donald Trump's commitment to minorities and underserved communities back in 1999.
Wow.